But interesting series to round out the day as well. Beasty versus LucifroN. You know, we left the two of the top dogs until last, right? Like these two should be very closely matched, and an interesting draft already emerges actually because you may notice a priority very difference between these two. LucifroN actually prioritized the Jeanne d'Arc ban because he wanted the first pick Delhi, but by doing that, what he also enabled himself to do without even needing to ban it was locking in the Japanese on his side. So both of those powerful civs in his roster. Beasty did get Ottomans, but then he got a little bit funky, right? HRE is not something we've been seeing many players prioritize.
Yeah, this is more of like a player play style pick here, especially with the HRE. Like Beasty loves his HRE. He plays them to a level that I would say not a lot of players can master a civilization. And I would say like Beasty HRE, I would put it on a similar level to something like LucifroN or Vortex Deli. Like it's just one of these civilizations that just fits the player to a T in many situations. And yeah, so in his hand, I would put HRE like if you combine a civilization with a player, in Beasty's hand, I would put HRE at like S tier.
Oh, sorry, my brain fried. The Jeanne d'Arc was banned away from LucifroN, right? Which makes
Yeah.
sense because he, like, well, if he doesn't get Jeanne d'Arc, he actually quite often goes French. It's really powerful with him. I think LucifroN's been the most impressive player there. The interesting part about the drafting dynamics was the fact that LucifroN quite confidently felt Roos was not going to be a high priority for Beasty. Not even a second pick. He felt it was only going to be third or fourth pick. That's pretty ballsy, man. Like getting the bans elsewhere, just mirroring the Mongols, which is a very powerful pick in the current rotation of maps. Looking at the maps we've got, I feel like both of them got a lick of it. The English is really good on multiple maps here, but the Malians is kind of that X factor. If Beasty reads that map correctly, that matchup, he should have draft advantage here. Outside that, I think that's where it can get a little bit crazy. Like if you pick English on Cliffside, I've said it before, stand by it. I think English, if they're not countered by say Malians on Cliffside, is borderline S tier there. They are incredibly powerful.
I'm looking at the point in time where Ayubits was picked by Beasty.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering why it wasn't picked earlier. Like Ayubit as a last pick there on Beasty's side. That's kind of crazy. Ayubit is just so good on all of these maps as well. Well, not Golden Heights particularly, but Cliffside and Dry Arabia, Ayubits are just nuts. And if we potentially see an Ayubit versus English game, that's going to have to feel really, really good for Beasty.
And uncounted as well, right? Like Delhi doesn't solve it. We've seen that earlier today. English struggles no end. Kind of a wild one, but we start off here with two potent civs. One that's meant to be banned, but if there's one thing that has remained true through this entire tournament, it's been that LucifroN and Vortex do not care about the Ottomans. They let them through like there's no tomorrow. Beasty was not going to resist that temptation. It's an Ottoman-Delhi matchup to kick us off.
Yeah, Ottomans, but it's up against the Delhi, as you said, and LucifroN's Delhi. It is definitely something that's on another level. And Delhi, they're not that bad when it comes to playing or facing off against the Ottomans. Now, both Ottomans and Delhi get unique horsemen, which are very, very strong. Delhi have very, very good food income as well, so they're able to spam those horsemen out very easily. BC with the Ottomans, I mean, Ottomans, they do get free units on like a slower production timer as well. It's going to be interesting. I feel like if LucifroN is going to be able to secure the sacred sites, that's going to push him ahead. Then if he's able to like trade out with markets, he's going to be able to potentially just completely outmass the Ottomans in the feudal age. And something that you can never forget is that the Delhi, they always have that plus 15% attack speed on their infantry. Meanwhile, the Ottomans, if the Matador gets sniped, the buff disappears.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is if both of you are pivoting hard into cavalry, which can happen in this matchup, that means the Ottomans have an advantage there, right? Because their aura affects everything, and you're stuck without it. Like, it's a very interesting balance. I feel like typically we see Delhi players open Ghazi because they're just such a dominant horseman unit, and then they gradually try to transition into a full infantry comp. That might be difficult to achieve here. I feel like whenever I've watched this matchup, the Delhi look best when they don't try to push the base, right? Where they just try and play sacred sites and force their opponent out. The games where they lose are quite often the ones where the Delhi get their own eco raided and also try to dive their opponents.
Yeah. Okay, the sheep count here, Beasty. Usually we feel like he doesn't have that great of a time when it comes to finding sheep. This time though, he's found a good amount of sheep very, very early on here in the game. So should be feeling happy with that. Probably won't even need to go into the Vizier point for the extra sheep.
Which is really impressive, actually, because he done something kind of unorthodox, right? He went on the berries to begin with. Like, we just don't see that. Oh, sorry, no, I'm an idiot. I'm looking
Oh.
at the wrong cousin. Yeah, my brain. So, like, but in general, it's kind of surprising against the Delhi that you're able to get a decent amount of the sheep, right? Because you have to open sheep. You can't go into berries to begin with. It's just inferior. So, like, I'm impressed, man. It's very difficult to get a leg up. I feel like we've been seeing a rise of the berry civs because of that detail. Like, when you talk about being this many years into competitive Age of Empires 4, I mean, sure, we got a big expansion to spice things up, but even just before that, we saw Bastards top of their game, right? And I think a big part of that was the scouting rotations that felt uncounterable if you played a non-berry civ.
How do you feel about going for, like, as a first vizier point for the Ottomans? How do you feel about just going for the sheep vizier point in this matchup? I feel like the sheep vizier point, especially in such an aggressive matchup, yeah, I think it's so good because then you don't have to move out on the map for a very long time. You think about it, it's an additional 2,000 food that you get, 8 sheep. It's
And
incredibly strong at just keeping you safe in your base.
And it's also, like, it actually has added value beyond that, right? Like, we have to remember, it's not just the sheep you get, it's the increased gathering rate on your ores. And that might not seem that relevant until you remember that this matchup, it's a long feudal, blacksmith timings matter, they make a difference, right? If you've got 10% extra gathering rate, you can get into Steel Arrow before the Delhi have all the blacksmith solutions, right? You can get an edge in those fights. And you need that because, you know, if you're talking about the entire comp being buffed up, but let's say you're both infantry, 15% versus 20% is a small difference, but it's still a difference, right? But if you're behind but have a +1, that cracks the egg so easily. So I think it's really good. It's kind of funny because we used to see people always go for it. I think it's Anatolian Hills it was called. But
yeah,
people just moved, like, I think they dropped it from their builds about like a year ago and it never came out anymore.
Yeah, I think it actually, I've seen it more and more recently, once again. For a while, it used to be like getting that free meta out for timing, but I think no way that deer was actually part of that group.
Wait, what? Did he push it all the way there? Like,
yes, that is filthy, man. Like, I look at the deer, I look at the minimap. Oh my god, he's doing it over there as well. Oh.
Dude, you just rub your eyes. You're like, am I playing one of those maps with like the 4 deer splits? All right, so kind of awkward there.
I'm getting MBL vibes here for those players that recognize MBL. Like, being known as one of the biggest lamer in Age of Empires 2 history.
Okay, here's an interesting thought as well. Is like, what I really like about this military school opening is that you can come back with this many spears and shove all those deer in towards your base, right? Like, it's a very powerful play. Very difficult to stop with the Ottomans because they just have so many spears in the other game. Like, if a scout tries to intercept against 4 spears, you can just insta-be dead. So, might be that we see Beasty eventually do that. For the time being, of course, you want to be more of a pain in the ass on your opponent's side. I just love how much he's prioritizing the deer.
Actually, KP, think of it this way. Now LucifroN will have a reason to queue up professional scouts for free.
There we go. We figured it out. LucifroN with the slow pullback. You know what the best part is? He'll probably still play on
double blacksmith.
Okay, yeah. I like this though, because what we just highlighted, a lot of people going Anatolian Hills means you need to have this or you will be behind. Also, it's just a civ that wants to build a blacksmith earlier than most civs, right? It's like, it's kind of interesting because I think in the English matchup, you can't go double blacksmiths. It's like a bit too greedy, right? But the difference there is like the English lombos in the opening kill you. Ottomans don't really have a unit that instantly ruins you.
By the way, shout out to the Kickstarter once again for like the increased production value. If we unlock that, we could actually like be seeing the Ottoman Vizier point right now in the cast UI. And look at that, it was Anatolian Hills.
Damn. All right, dude, high five. We done it. All right, so yeah, it's pretty smart. I think it just makes a lot more sense. Imam's worthless because you know Delhi are going to add in archers. You just die. You're definitely not going fast castle here. And the alternative for the meta is like cool, but you could just gradually build it. Like, why do you need a meta straight away? If you just start pumping one passively, when the first big fight happens, it's going to be there, right? So, yeah, I'm a big fan of this.
Ahi out on the map. LucifroN just making units. Gazi Raider not finding the free kill right there.
Oh, Pro Scout's on the way. There we go. We got it.
Easy.
It sounds memey, but like it makes a lot of sense with one scout because what will happen is you can now pull these all back towards 1 mil in the center, right? Like I've seen players do it. It's actually more effective than you'd expect.
Yeah. I mean, you think about you invest into like 3-4 scouts to get them in at a reasonable timing. It's a lot of food. 7 times 350. That times 2 because you get 2 deer packs. You can get a lot of very, very safe food there. Question's always going to be like, is it in like it's micro that you have to invest? But a player like LucifroN probably doesn't have too many issues with micro to spare.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not too much overhead for what you get in return, right? The optimization, like the goal is still going to be to play out onto the deer, right? Versus drawing them all the way back. If he ends up having to pull the deer all the way back to the TC, you know he's losing the game, right? Like, that's when craps really hit the fan. From now, you need to find a way to constrict the map and have mid-map control. I'm expecting LucifroN to prioritize walls here. Like, Sapahi and a potential archer opening from Ottomans does slap pretty hard. So you want to try and make it difficult for them to force that fight.
Yeah. Right now, both players just massing up military. LucifroN a lot more, though, compared to Beasty, and that's a lot of units already out on the field. Beasty, though, he's gotten his second military school out on the field. So he's going to be getting a lot of free units in as well. Yeah, first Sacred Site is getting captured. No walls on it, though.
No, which I'm kind of surprised by, but makes sense as well. You're against passive production. You're also against like these decent gathering rates or things like Madrissa. You're probably feeling a little bit paranoid about your count, right? You're a little bit insecure that Beasty might be bigger, and that's understandable. Beasty isn't bigger yet, but that's mainly because he's going back for all the techs. We've got Undermesh coming in. We've got the Eco Tech for food. So like he will start to inflate, and we have to remember the longer this feudal goes on, it's a weird dynamic. If the feudal goes on too long, Ottomans are stronger. Because it's, I always describe like the Vizier points, it's a mini tech up, right? And as you pump more and more of these troops, you get towards things like the military schools and the increased production speed. And maybe even you go back for the meta. It does peak, but it allows you to outshine what the Delhi do best at this point.
Yeah, great reaction there from LucifroN, pulling those villagers back in time. And I mean, Beasty invested a lot of time into getting those Sapahi around. He went really the longest curve around that he could have possibly gone for, but still doesn't get a villager kill there.
Every one matters, right? Like, I still think that this matchup is more 50-50 than people give credit for. Like, you might lean a slight edge, I'd say, towards possibly Ottomans, slight. But, you know, especially on a map like Dry Arabia, where the spawn is mostly balanced, this is just going to be a raw skill matchup. Oof. So, still there on the way. Beasty hasn't revealed the archers yet, right? But LucifroN should understand, like, this matchup, he's played it enough. It's going to be 1-1-1 on each side, right? Like, that's just a given. The important detail is that he gets these sacred sites in soon because of that whole element of the passive production. Like, over time, it does bleed an advantage for autos. Extra point. Is that? I think it's just saving it, right? Like, I think you just go military school next.
Yeah, it's going to be another additional military school. It's actually being built right now, so you already redeemed that one. So that's going to be 3 military schools. And once you're at 3 military schools, once you get that next Vizier point, if you're still in Feudal Age at that point in time, you will probably just invest that one into the Janissaries.
Yeah.
Just to have them in the army, right? Like, you're getting 8 Janissaries out for free. That's going to massively increase the value of your army.
Yeah, you don't want to do it before you take the fight against these archers, though, right? Like, at this count, you'll just get annihilated. But if you force LucifroN to overcommit into Ghazi, it's really strong. Right now, I don't like that he has the same number of Ghazi as Sapahi. Sapahi will win that fight. Like, they are much more tanky, much more scary.
Yeah. It's a lot of spearmen out from both sides right now. It's nice that both players like don't underestimate the Sapahi and Ghazi Raiders. Both players are investing a lot into those spearmen as well.
Sapahi needs to pull away,
Ooh,
Spearman OP. No, I'm kidding. He has fortitude on. Like,
Sapahi, they actually almost cost as much wood as an archer.
Which is nuts. It's like, it's quite bonkers. Like, it's very easy to forget. The Ghazi is a more expensive horseman, but Sapahi are still more expensive than Ghazi.
Yeah, they're like pseudo knights almost. With the cost. It's like 130 and then 40. So 170 resource total. It's like Sofa level cost.
Do you remember that like 10 Sapahi opening build where you just raided the enemy base and it was better than knights? That crap was crazy. Like, with the extra melee range, you were just able to easily kill opponents. Dive coming underneath the TC. Sapahi are not here. LucifroN willing to stand up against
getting sacrificed.
Dude, is he doing enough damage? The Ghazi count, I think it's still level like 6. This should be a continuous dive. Beasty does have the advantage to choke point, right? So limited melee can get in. And funnily enough, a mistake made there. LucifroN is leading with the Spearman instead of leading with the Ghazi.
Yeah, I feel like he has to pull out there. Actually, at the same time, military count 44 for LucifroN, 25 for Beasty.
Sapphire coming, but they're so late. They are so incredibly late to this. The army's going to be wiped down. That could be hemorrhaging at Eco afterwards. Sapahi also, I think, have Spearmen chasing after them here. So now, you're kind of like, funnily enough, the irony. Okay, I use these choke points to reduce melee damage, now return fire. Unfortunately, the issue here is those Sapahi are far too tanky. So heavy hit on both sides, but no eco has been hemorrhaged. So Beasty does draw this back.
Yeah, at the same time, Beasty, he's struggling a little bit for food there. Even though he went for that Vizier point with the additional 8 sheep, there was a lot of idle time there on his food economy. And it actually leads to a point where Beasty has 1,000 wood in the bank and no food to make units.
That's crazy.
So this timing hurt the macro for Beasty a lot.
LucifroN still has a mid gaps himself and now faces off against a lot of Sapahi though. That's the difference. If you look at the two sides, one has better radius to follow up now. It's just Beasty needs to find it. Kind of an unfortunate timing when he pulled away there. If those Sapahi had been coming back, say 10 seconds sooner, that's a wipe. LucifroN read that correctly. I'd say maybe one thing I changed there is he chose to just shoot down the spawning archers instead of sending it straight to the eco line to idle up. That probably would have helped him a lot, but as you said, in the end, Beasty just ended up with a crap ton of wood and nothing to do with it straight away.
Spy. One is going to split off, wants to deny that sacred side from LucifroN. From LucifroN is going to reconnect though. Another issue that we had in the last fight was that Beasty was only on 1 meter, so the 1 meter was following with the Sapahi, and he didn't have a single one inside of space.
And you reset the archer count now, right? And you've got double meta. How do you immediately remove that aura from the Ottomans? It's very difficult. Like, I don't know. To me, this is your classic situation we've been talking about with the Delhi, where like the Delhi's goal is to constrict the map and control the mid-map. It's not to dive the enemy base. And I feel like when he saw those Sapahi running away from home, he got a little bit too gleeful, right? He's like, oh, goody. LucifroN doesn't sound exactly like that. He's less goofy. But it was that kind of ecstatic moment where you think you can close the game. And we've seen that cost so many Delhi players the match.
Your point? Is it going to be the Janissaries? It should be. At this point in time, I feel like it should be either improved production, but I think Janissaries are more important. Yeah. There we go. Janissaries come out.
It's kind of tough. Like, there's not enough Ghazi to make it feel great, though, right? Like, it's still a lot of archers, but to his credit, the Sapahi, like Beasty, both of them lost a lot. The fact that 10 Sapahi survived is humongous.
The army value. The army value right now, it's so far ahead for Beasty with those 8 Janissaries.
He's going to have to leave the archers behind. Like, you can't defend this. Jannies are moving in. Archers trying to trade it out. But look how quickly you die with the Fortitude activated. LucifroN about to get pushed all the way back, likely to lose the Sacred Sites. And this is where the game begins to get scary.
Yeah, he tries to pick up the Janissaries, but doesn't do so quickly enough. The Janissaries attack speed is ludicrous combined with the better attack speed buff. And now, LucifroN, it's 29 to 50 military, and Beasty might just be in a position to now completely overwhelm him.
He's surging, the production is fully ramped up, ready to keep this going. He has enough force to keep pushing this back. Keep in mind, LucifroN, by the time he reaches his base, he's going to lose, like, what, another half of his army at this pacing? You can't really turn around to contest this either. No Spearman, has at least got an outpost in the area, but way too many villages, and in a situation where LucifroN is playing on limited food.
Archers to jump inside the outpost. Some Spearmen are coming, and the archers, they're actually stuck on the outpost right now. Attack move didn't work out there in Beasty's favor, and this buys LucifroN crucial seconds in order to get his army back together. But right now, he's hurting.
Yeah, and the Janissaries is a one trick, right? That's what we have to remember. It's a one choice. Usually you make it when you think you can win the game or you're about to lose the game. This is a weird mid-ground where it's giving you a momentous advantage, but it hasn't ended the game entirely. Beasty's follow-up play should be to spread wide with these additional Sapahi. If he can find these flank resources on the deer, which he's now looking towards, and on the berries, that's where he can shut Lucy down.
Behind this, the truly insane part, though, is Beasty is still on cheap.
Sapahi are in, by the way. They're raiding the berries to the backside. Like, more important in this fight right now.
Oh,
is
God,
the eco damage on.
Horseman.
Wait, does LucifroN not have text? He has textiles, right?
He does, but he's still losing villagers. He's not
Fortitude, man. Oh, this dive. Beasty, he has the attack speed aura. Like, you're not able to snipe it quick enough. Sure, it's gone now, but you have no archers
The villagers. They're all going down.
No.
And with that, yeah, this...
I mean, this is a macro up now, right? Like, I think you just macro up now into castle, and it's GG. It doesn't even reach that. There it is. Gets called. LucifroN. He finally saw the villages dead. Game 1 will be in the grips of Beasty.
Good game. Well played.
I mean, that's what you want to see, right? Like a skill-based matchup, and I think it's very tight, very close. Just critical moment was that dive. That dive, I've seen so many Delhi players just get baited by it, and I kind of understand why in that game. Sometimes I watch that play being made, and it's so unnecessary. The reason LucifroN does that is twofold. One is he sees that the entire army's not there defending. Two is if he doesn't do it there, the Sipahi are going to hit his own economy, and he's going to be too late to defend, right? So, like, I
Yeah.
get why Lucy done that. Just great hold by Beasty, reduction in the army, and then a great time in that Janissary pull. Just shows you why the Ottomans are so oppressive the longer that feudal goes on.
Yeah, and that one Vizier point with the Janissaries, it just suddenly the Ghazi Raiders don't exist anymore. They don't exist. That's it. They don't exist, and it is so difficult to snipe the Janissaries out in time, mainly because the attack speed from the Janissaries together with the matter is so crazy that by the time that you're done sniping out the Janissaries, your opponent still has all of his Sipahi and all of your Ghazi Raiders are still dead.
Yeah. And now we move into a match point scenario where things can get really messy. So we had Cliffside, and I think it's Coastal Cliffs. I think with LucifroN's draft, he probably has to go, I want to say Coastal. Cliffside, it's kind of weird because if you can't force a Malian pick, and the problem is your opponent still has Ibids for Coastal Cliffs, I kind of feel like Beastie may have slightly outdrafted LucifroN here. Unless he's got something creative in mind for the Japanese. Like, we don't really see much of Japanese on Cliffside or Coastal Cliffs, though, right? Okay,
We're
it's Golden
seeing
Heights. Yeah.
HRE versus English on
Oh,
Golden
sorry. Yeah.
Heights.
Why did I think Coastal Cliffs? It's Golden Heights. My
Yeah.
bad. I got them mixed up. Okay.
That's an interesting one. I mean, Beastie with HRE and HRE already like not being bad versus English on a map like this, where chances are neither of them are gonna go for water early on.
Do you not go
Like
for it as
English
English?
could,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure if they do. Like, I think fast feudal might just be better for them because the difficulty that is that if you go for a dock on water, by the time you hit feudal age, HRE is already going to be castle age.
But I really don't like this matchup if you don't go fishing. Because like you mentioned Castle Age, but I actually think that the new wave of playing HRE to count English, especially on maps like this, you can actually just play mass archers with marching drills. Like it's so dumb how easy it is to just kite
Yeah,
and outmaneuver.
it is 1.38, but you can't play archers for long because English is like the one civilization that in feudal age, not in feudal age, in castle age, their men at arms only take 1 damage from fully upgraded archers.
That's true, but like you have to get to Castle Age in my fort, right? So like HRE,
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a new wave of HRE. Like this fast castle build is a bit predictable. It
I
probably
think
works on
even
this
with
map.
I think even with the better movement speed though, like English, if they are forced to turtle up inside their base, the HRE archers probably can't finish it off.
Oh sure, but like if he's stuck in his base, he hasn't got much, right? Is my fort. Like I've watched it a few times. I think it works better on like for example Himiyama, those type of maps, much better. You probably have enough to get you through the early game on Golden Heights. But let's say this turns into you build farms, I build farms, right? It's HRE farms that they're worth building. So like even on a macro level, I think this one's kind of dicey. Feels like LucifroN has to get an edge. You can go for that early villager pull. Sometimes we see like 3 villagers pulled, right? So if the HRE pulls 1, you kill him, and also it allows you to get a dock and walls up quick enough that early men at arms or spearmen can't break you. Um, it's kind of weird because you are going to give over Castle Age to the HRE, but like the alternative is what? Maybe a longbow all in rush towards the enemy base. That could work. I think it depends on the spawn though, right? Like we've seen some really horrible spawns to that rush, where they get retracted golden wood.
The one really good thing here that I see, at least for LucifroN, is that he won't have to play English versus Ayubids.
True. Well, no. Don't stop there, Crackedy. He also won't have to play English versus Malians. Like,
yeah, that's true.
This was such a gamble. This is what I meant when I said this is interesting when English. If you think about it, if BC had picked either one of the other two, this would be a really hard game right now. Like, you get your fishing, but you'd be screwed in feudal, right? So
I think Japan could work really, really well versus HRE, but then you're stuck with Byzantines as your last civilization.
Yeah, because if you go to Cliffside, Malians or Ibids, both actually feasible. And it's probably going to be Malians because like Beastie wouldn't want to coin flip whether Ibids have a fourth spawn gold or not, right? So it's like, yeah, we still have this awkward issue. I think it's going to be probably Ibids versus Byzantines game 3. I've seen that a lot, and it's kind of ugly. It might be better to just try and play later with the Japanese.
With Ottomans out of the picture, I could see Japanese there as well. Japanese are actually really interesting to play versus Malians.
Yeah, because you can't like that whole Ottoman comment is 100% accurate. You can't play Japanese against Ottomans because of the melee meta, right? Like it
Yeah.
completely offsets all your strength. So interesting. Oh, there's still some choices to be made. I mean, maybe LucifroN's got some creative. I got to just say, like, I haven't been that impressed by Hippodrome on Cliffside recently. Hasn't really been hitting hard. So I definitely would. Well, let's be honest. I haven't been impressed by Hippodrome anyway. Crackedy, okay, it's got problems. It probably needs to seek counseling. But we'll have to see if we even get there. It's time for game number 2. Beasty is on match point. He whips out his signature civ, his most cozy civ, the holiest of Roman empires. LucifroN, on the other hand, is going to be going into the English. God damn it, we've already expected a Cliffside game number 3. Let's get into the second one to see if it happens.
And here we go. Spawning in the color blue, we got Beasty playing as the HRE here on Gold Knights. On the other hand side, we got LucifroN. Looks like he actually is moving out onto water there with 2 villagers. So 3 villagers, actually.
Yeah. it's the same
Wait,
build
Beasty's
Vortex
also
does.
moving out on water. Beasty's also moving out on water. This could
What?
be...
Oh,
this
he's
could be
going to
brutal.
Yeah, so if he gets scoured though, right? Like, because, dude, okay, this is crazy. Hear me out. If LucifroN checks the main base, he knows if you've pulled a villager, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's so Giga Brain, because like most people rush out to check the shoreline, but that's more risky. If you literally just look in your opponent's base and you know how to count on your fingers, you know whether he pulled villagers.
Yeah, and he sees it that there were villagers on wood. I think at least he saw it.
Yeah, I don't think he saw the full villager count, but he saw that the food was only being gathered
but
by that
BC's
many.
going for Rex.
But look at the position for LucifroN, right? Like he's going to try to be more central, but if he just
No,
sets up a dock here, he can wall both sides.
He wants to find the villager.
Dude, he's looking for. Okay, but wait, is the scout going to see this? This is actually really important. If the scout sees it, he stops wasting time.
Oh no! Oh no! He's going right past it.
Hello? Wait, over here. Do you not
LucifroN's
hear?
going forward.
Do you not hear the hammer being knocked? Come on!
Oh no, this actually hurts so badly. This hurts so badly right now if you're LucifroN, because he thought that Beasty would be going for the dog. Instead, it is that barracks, and the first spearman is gonna be on its way. LucifroN is gonna go for walls.
Okay, this might still work out then. He needs to wall over here. He's gonna see the villager. Wait, imagine if Beasty just sits here with the villager.
Walls him in, wall him in, wall him in.
No, get the wall, get the wall, get the wall! He's just gonna stand there. Villager gonna pull the bows out though. He's gonna go for a secondary wall. The wall's now coming out from Beasty. We've got a little mini Takeshi's castle. What?
Get killed.
Oh my god. He can't get the wall
no.
up. So, okay, so he loses the scout, but LucifroN has actually secured the corner. And these spears can't break in. They will die slowly to villagers. The negative, however, is you're attacking with villagers. And your name isn't Donati, so your chances of winning have gone down.
All right. Interesting. Game number 2 here, especially with the match point for Beasty now. And Beasty's just messing more and more spears. And
Time for a
this is
dog.
also... Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, LucifroN, sure, he walled the spearman out, but now he can't go out in order to deny the dog. And that's what he pulled all these villagers for.
Oh boy. Well, he's at least got shoreline fishing. So that's the positive to look for here, right? Like, it's not terrible. But why? What?
Because his scout died. He didn't bring the sheep back.
God. Honestly, at this point, I just built
There they are.
They're coming. Don't worry.
Slowly but surely. Oh no.
Soon, he's building a new scout, man. Just imagine if he gets really close and the Beastie Scout just comes by at that very moment. Would you just break your keyboard? Spend the rest of the game clicking little icons instead of hotkeys?
Oh god. I mean, I'm just saying, winner, whoever wins this, like, the winner will finish first, so he goes immediately into the semi. But whoever loses is gonna finish third, with Wham in between them.
I thought it was only like M-Lord games that could be this defined by a scout, but I mean, here we are. Like, Spearman now burning through the walls.
Look at that. The villagers, they're... Surely they're gonna kill him in time, right?
Keep firing, brothers. I love how he's like, fish and shoot, and fish and shoot.
Alright, he's gonna be repairing that one. He is slowly but surely macroing up to Feudal Age, and if he gets there, like a single galley should be able to stop this. Like a single galley completely devalues all of these men-at-arms. And this is actually a mistake now that I think Beasty's doing. He's committing a lot right now, like a lot into these spearmen.
Wait,
No!
the transport ships!
Oh no!
Sorry, what was that, Crackedy? Too many?
I take it all back. I take it all back. And LucifroN, he runs for it. For
You better run. And now
God.
the short bows can't contest because LucifroN built the wall too loose. And he can
Build
dodge
another
shots.
Build
Dude,
another wall.
No.
Oh, he
Dude,
doesn't have wood.
he can legit just dodge shots like that. Like, he just transport ships. This is clown carring on water. Oh my god. Beasty wants a 2-0.
Oh no. No.
I can't believe this. We were expecting a game 3. I don't think we're going to get there.
The council hall is being rushed up right now by 7 villagers, but the issue is...
You have no
Or
sheep.
galley.
You
Yeah,
have
that
no
as well.
sheep.
Yeah, and it gets worse. You don't have the wood for a galley ship, so... The top is gonna go down.
Nice -3. -3 villages. And that is going to be it. GG, Beasty. Seems like going to be topping that group after a performance like that. LucifroN is going to have the long way around now, starting at the bottom of the bracket.
Oh man, that was an unexpectedly quick series.
Welcome to casting LucifroN and Vortex. These guys, like, no flame on that. Like, they basically, they have the, you know how some players, like the 1 percentile gamers, like Beasty says is this, right? Where he's like, if there's a 1% chance I'll keep playing. LucifroN is kind of like the other end of the spectrum, where it's like, I played these mutations out, I haven't found a way to win. There's nothing left here, let's get out. But that was absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
The transport ship. How many times have we watched players just kind of like stupid head it and try to burn down the wall and lose the game because of it? I love that we're seeing transport ships, man. Like, I want more maps like the idea of canal, like the canal, that type of thing. Like, imagine if people find a way to start using transpos there. Transport ships are kind of underrated. It's so sick to see people using them. And a really well-played game. You know what's crazier, right? If he picked Marlians, it could have been a similar issue. Imagine he picks Marlians, he builds a dock,
Oh god.
and it's a transpo ship that drive-bys you as well. Absolutely crazy.
Okay.
Standings time. We need to see it.
Now we got the
all
full
etched
picture.
Oof,
Oh
look at
no, LucifroN. This hurts, right?
that. Did you,
like,
sorry,
look at
did you say LucifroN?
Oh god, no! I said LucifroN.
Oh, it actually
don't put
sounded
words
like
in
you
my
said
mouth.
LucifroN.
No, I wouldn't do him that dirty, man. No. But look at that. He has to face off versus Vortex in the round of 8, and
Oh, that series.
that
Whoever's
hurts.
casting on that day, by the way, you're making real easy money. Like, that's gonna be a 30-minute best of 5. Seriously, they don't actually wait it around, right? Like, we've seen this before. I think LucifroN versus Vortex on average is maybe the quickest series conclusion, right? Because, like, you have to remember, these guys, they scrim regularly, so they've played out the mutations. Like I said, like, you often get these early GGs because they're quite adamant how the game ends. So don't be surprised if that is like, game 1 done in 10 minutes, game 2 done in 8 minutes, game 3 done in 15 minutes. Like, they really have kind of a solid way to do it. It's just unfortunate they've ended up in this sticky situation, considering they are each other's scrim bros. And by the way, it is going to be a best of 7, not best of 5. So the graphic is a little bit outdated. We decided we wanted to give you guys more games for more entertainment. Louis versus B on the other side, Crackedy. Dude, that B, he mentioned this, I think, a few weeks ago on stream. He's been looking a little bit awkward. I think his words were he doesn't think this meta suits his playstyle. Louis seems to be thriving on it by comparison.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see if maybe B can like catch himself there. Also, what's really, really interesting is that the season is coming to a close rather soon, right? So the question is gonna be timing with potential patches and stuff like that. If there's gonna be like something big happening, we had it during the big New Year, New Age live stream, right? There's a new season, guys. It's coming soon. We also have that big countdown, like in the main menu in Age of Empires 4. So the timing is definitely gonna be interesting there. If maybe something happens around that time.
Yeah. So, it would be really weird if we got a patch before finals. I'm just gonna say that. Like, that would be.
It would be a
really odd.
very, very awkward timing. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, at least if you do it before playoffs, right? It's like this week, people have a little bit of time to adapt. I don't know. We'll see how they do it. I know in the past we've done like play on previous patch on a tournament, like test server thing. I think that's going to be a little bit weird because people get used to different things and practicing is difficult, especially now that we're in playoffs and there is a total of 8 players, right? Dude, also think how painful that is for some of these players. LucifroN and Vortex always scrim together. They kind of can't now. So I really hope Lash is up for playing a bunch of scrims with both of them. Like maybe it's like shared custody, right? Because I know that Lash, LucifroN, and Vortex they regularly scrim in a triangle. So it's just like you get him 4 hours, I get him 4 hours. But yeah, no, actually crazy how fast that final series was. Well done to Beasty. That was a sick execution in game number 2.